This is a special book review because it is my all-time favorite business book. It is the most important book I ever read. And as a small business owner, as a personal training studio owner, it is such a crucial read. I first read this book when I was a personal trainer, and I had just wow, aha moments. A total shift in perception, and I thought, wow, this needs to be implemented where I was working. And I was working as a self-employed personal trainer in the gym, and it got me to see everything that was happening that was going wrong. And I saw the business owner that was there, and it was reflected in this book exactly what he was saying, what Micheal Gerber was saying. And he talks about, in the book, he uses an example of Anna and her pie shop, and how Anna just is busy, doing, and she's trying to do everything, and she's wearing many hats. She's trying to grow the business, she's trying to answer the phone, she's trying to do the pies, and she's just overwhelmed. And that there's no way that Anna can grow unless she starts to think differently. So this book really gets you to think in terms of systems, creating systems so you have leverage. He says in the book that if you are dependent on your business, then you don't own a business, you own a job. And it's the worst job because you're working for a lunatic. And because in that stage where you're trying to juggle all these balls, you are kind of a lunatic. You're just going around crazy like a chicken with its head cut off. But the key message in here is to adopt a systems mindset. And what that means is when you have a problem that arises, instead of just going and fixing that problem, it's about going to the root of it and going, what's missing here? What happened exactly? And going right down to the problem, and then noticing first if the problem is a people-based problem, if it's your problem, something you need to change within you, or if it's the absence of a system. And throughout this book, he talks about the 7 systems needed in a business, which is lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment, marketing, managing, leading, and finance. So this book has taken me on a journey, because when I first read it and I was at that gym, I started to talk to the owner and try to help him say, maybe you can do this a little differently and it will free up your time. Maybe instead of trying to sell, you can create a sales system, or maybe instead of managing, you can create a management system, or instead of waiting for leads to come in, you can create a lead generation system. And this all when I think I was around 19 years old. This all came to me, and I just saw a new I was seeing businesses through a new lens now. And I was like, wow, so many business owners, this is why they're failing, because they don't have any systems in their business. And as I started to help this business owner, this gym owner, I could feel the resistance. The resistance was so strong. And as he was taking on some concepts and trying to implement them with his staff, they were resisting it. So he was resistant, and so was everyone else. So eventually, he didn't want to implement some of these things. He hadn't read the book. He didn't understand the systems-based mindset. Well, later when I opened my studio, my first studio, I started to implement these systems, and I noticed right away how difficult it was, how much resistance I was receiving from people, because there's an industry standard on how people do things. So when you're coming at them with a system, a way of doing things, a lot of people will push that away. So you start to second guess yourself. You start to second guess the book, the idea, the systems-based mindset. And at times I was resisting that. I would implement a lot of stuff and then, people wouldn't like it. It was causing a lot of stuff. So I would just drop it. I'd say, maybe this isn't the solution. I don't know. Maybe this is not good. And then I would pick the book back up again a few months later, a few years later, read it. So I would say that it was probably like a 5 to 7 year journey with this book of resisting it and then adopting it. And the reason this was so profound and why there was so much resistance there is that because it's an internal journey. It really, now that I look at it, Micheal Gerber has shown me that entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. It will test you in every way when you're leading people, when you're creating, as he says, like, you are a creator when you're an entrepreneur and you are creating. So of course it's going to bring up a lot of stuff to step into that power that you have as a creator. So I'm trying to think how else I could give you some nuggets from this book. He talks about to really start with a blank slate and to just create something, create your first system, and then to track it. And tracking them, if you're measuring it, you now have something to measure and improve. If you're not measuring anything, then you don't know how to improve it because you don't have a measure for it. So in the book, he really uses McDonald's as an example of a very system-based business, the franchise model, but he also, at first, that's when you hear McDonald's right away, you sort of resist it because it's just giving a shitty product. But actually, in fact, all major businesses, Apple, have very strong operations in the exact same way. All the major companies that you would like, they operate like this too. That all big businesses were once a small business. So in my coaching, a lot of influence comes from this book. Years and years of practicing it, of implementing it, of knowing how to do it. So if that interests you, you can always give me a call and I can help you implement these things. But great book, one of the most powerful books there is out there in business.